Welcome to Shiver Cove, Part 1 Tamyra, by T.J. Shores. Chapter 5. The sun warmed Tamyra's skin. Life couldn't be much better than having a week to lounge on the beach before school started. She rolled over onto her stomach and sipped some water. The sun had leached the cold from it. Good thing she hadn't chosen to bring cola. She brought a lunch-sized cooler down to the beach with her, and the remaining water inside would be refreshing and cold. Except, she dropped the cooler in the shade, about 10 feet away, and felt too lazy to get up. She picked her book up from its place on the blanket next to her and thumbed open to her bookmark. A romance novel she read near half of. She picked it up yesterday knowing she wouldn't have to concentrate too hard to follow along. With only a week to go until she started her new school, Tamyra struggled with focusing on any one thing for long. Anxiety was her constant companion. She knew in her heart it wouldn't be the end of the world if she didn't make any friends, but she fretted constantly she would spend her senior year alone. Her mind started running scenarios once again of first conversations and trying to talk to strangers. Her chest tightened and breathing felt unnatural. She hated her shyness. Kiki seemed to have no problem talking to anyone about anything. Tamyra wished she could be that way too. A splashing sound drew her attention to the lake. She lowered her book slightly and peeked over it. A person, paddling on some type of surfboard, headed her way. With the sun reflecting off the surface, she couldn't tell much about the person. She could see the board better. A dark patch appeared between the board and rider. A sail, maybe? Definitely a sail. The downed sail looked folded up, but part of it trailed behind the board in the water. As the person swung a leg over and slipped off the side of the board, male attributes became obvious. The water came just below his armpits, and she believed his feet touched bottom. He splashed toward the beach and kept moving closer as he towed the board along behind him. All too conscious of her bikini, she pretended to scratch an itch on her shoulder, blocking his view of her figure. The intrusion at her family's private beach annoyed her. "Hi there," he said with a wave. "Hi," she squeaked, submerged only to his knees and not slowing down. He shouldn't have been there. She tried to calm herself, figuring she could make it to the house if he tried anything funny. "How are you?" he asked as he stepped out of the water. "Okay." Her belly flopped. He stopped at the water's edge, and she prayed he wouldn't come any closer. She felt naked in her skimpy bathing suit. She watched as liquid ran from his shorts onto the sand. With the sun at his back, she found it hard to really tell what he looked like. Lean and muscular like a pro basketball player. She couldn't tell how tall from her angle. She swept her eyes up his frame and settled where shaggy hair dusted his shoulders. "I'm Salem. Actually, just Sal. You must be Tamyra, right?" She relaxed a little when he spoke her name. She liked the sound of his voice. Manly and soft. "Tamyra," she corrected. "Sorry, I knew that. Unusual name. Nice though." "Thanks." The word escaped her in barely more than a whisper. She watched as Sal dragged his board on shore. Catching glimpses of his profile, she decided they were about the same age. She tried to think of something to say. Her mind drew blanks on her. She hated how she always got nervous around new people and clammed up. Relieved of the board, he slowly walked a bit closer to her and peered at her hands. "Good book." "Yeah." She now had a clear view of Sal. He looked like a stereotypical California surfer dude. Shoulder-length dark blonde hair, a deep tan, and blue eyes. His thin nose seemed a tad long for his face, but overall he looked hot. "Sorry if I'm bothering you. Kiki always lets me use her beach when I go out windsurfing." "You, ever been windsurfing?" "No. I was planning to tan for a bit before I packed it in and called it a day. Do you mind?" She bit her lip and shook her head. She couldn't manage words. A cute guy wanted to tan on her beach. Wow. Now I'm wondering if I really am bothering you. He gave her a sly, unsure smile, apparently waiting for her to say he wasn't really bothering her. You're not. As soon as the words left her lips, she felt stupid she hadn't said more. She knew one-word answers closed conversations, but her nerves wouldn't allow for more. Not much of a talker, are you, huh? She felt heat in her cheeks and wondered if he could tell she blushed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Your aunt warned me you're painfully shy, and here I am making you uncomfortable. I have a habit of saying really dumb things, especially around pretty girls.
I'm sorry.
I'll leave. Pretty girls? He thinks I'm pretty? Oh no. I've scared him off. Don't go. As the words tumbled out of her mouth, she almost wondered if someone else had spoken them. You don't have to feel bad, it's okay. Besides, I'm really thirsty. I should head home. He turned his attention back to his windsurfing equipment. He disconnected the sail and strapped it onto the board. In her head, she groaned. She'd blown it, leaving because she acted weird and cold. If she kept this up, she would spend her senior year with no friends. I have some water over there. Huh? I brought water. She ground her teeth. The words sounded lame. She wondered why she couldn't have said something cooler. Instead of looking at her like she had two heads, he grinned. Her face muscles pulled her lips up, infected by his smile. She nodded and pointed at the cooler. He took his eyes off her and followed the imaginary trail from her finger. Spotting the cooler, he strolled over to it. He flipped open the lid and pulled out a plastic bottle. Thanks. He cracked the top and drained half the bottle in one gulp, then stopped his guzzling and gave her a guilt-filled look. I guess I should have offered to get you one, huh? Want one? Please. You're gonna have to do better than that if you want me to get you one. Sorry? If you want me to get you a water and stick around for a bit, you're gonna have to give me more than one-word answers. She felt creases forming on her forehead and knew she must look terrified. Sal smirked, then turned to grab another bottle. She tried to run through some things to talk to this boy about, but as always, words abandoned her. I'm not so bad, you know. You got a scared look on your face right now. The kind of look that someone gets right before they have to give a speech at school. Sorry if I freaked you out. How about I do most of the talking and you try your best not to give me one-word answers? Okay? Awkward laughter bubbled from Tamyra as he walked towards her. She felt weird lying down with him coming near, so she rolled over and sat up. She considered sitting cross-legged for a second, but figured it wouldn't be a good idea in her suit. Instead, she kept her legs together and pushed them out in front of her. We're off to a great start, aren't we? The less you give, the more I'm babbling. Sal stretched out his hand with the bottle in it. Her mouth felt dry. She doubted thirst had anything to do with it. She took it from him with a shy smile. Thank you. Look, I appreciate the water, and again I'm sorry for crashing in on you. I'm just gonna get going. She had to say something or lose him. Without allowing herself a chance to think, she said, Don't go. I'm not trying to be a snob. I get really nervous around new people and can't talk. Her face burned, and she looked down at her light blue toenails.
Sorry.
I didn't. How about you stop saying sorry, and I'll try saying something? She still couldn't look at him, yet she patted the blanket next to her. Seconds agonized by in what felt like an eternity. She detected the faint coconut odor of his suntan lotion, and then she felt him sit down next to her.